Patrick had found his soulmate in high school, Celia. Together, they built a quaint life with their daughter Gemma in a cozy home. Tragedy struck when Gemma was 13 and away at camp. On a frosty day, Celia, intending to surprise Patrick with a warm meal at work, tragically lost control of her car on an icy patch and plunged into a ravine, leading to her untimely death. Returning home to an unsettling silence that day, Patrick's heart sank. The grief worsened when Gemma, devastated by her mother's death, directed her anguish towards him, blaming him for the tragedy. Their bond fractured. Gemma sought refuge in distance, opting for boarding school and leaving home as soon as she graduated. The weight of loss and guilt drove Patrick to change his life completely. He took up a position as a park ranger, finding solace in the solitude and the rhythmic routine of nature's care. Immersed in the wilderness, he dedicated his days to preserving the park's natural beauty, a poignant homage to the life he once cherished. One particular day, Patrick spotted a group of suspicious figures. He concealed himself behind the foliage, trying to discern their actions, but missed their departure. Rushing off the incident, he completed his rounds and returned to his cabin. Spring, his favorite season, invited him to dine outside before retiring for the evening. However, he was unprepared for what the next day would bring. About 2 hours into his patrol, Patrick was drawn to a distressed sound, a mix of a growl and a cry. He traced the noise and discovered a majestic lynx with its paw caught in a hunting trap, evidently suffering for quite some time. Swiftly, Patrick used a tranquilizer dart to calm the lynx, allowing him to safely release its paw from the trap. As he tended to the lynx, a slight movement caught his eye. A lynx cub, hidden under the brush, was watching closely. It became clear the trapped animal was its mother, and the cub had stayed near, hoping for her rescue. Realizing the urgency, Patrick gently placed the cub in his bag and covered the mother with his jacket, carrying her back to his cabin for immediate care. It was only upon returning that Patrick fully grasped the severity of the mother lynx's injuries, likely worsened by her frantic attempts to escape the trap overnight. Reflecting on the previous day's visitors, Patrick suspected it was one of them who had set the trap, a realization that deepened his commitment to protecting the park's wildlife. Patrick immediately contacted a local veterinarian, describing the severe injuries of the mother lynx and requesting urgent help. When the vet arrived, they provided nourishment for the cub but were hesitant about the mother's chances. The vet recommended euthanasia due to a shattered femur and a severe infection in the mother lynx's leg. However, Patrick adamantly refused to consider putting her down, pleading for any alternative treatment. Reluctantly, the vet cleaned and stabilized the injured leg, leaving Patrick with antibiotics and painkillers to manage the lynx's care. Throughout the spring, Patrick devoted himself to nursing the mother lynx back to health. She responded with a gentle demeanor, seemingly aware of his benevolent intent. Gradually, both the mother and her cub regained strength, and one morning, Patrick discovered they had silently departed from their shelter, a bittersweet goodbye. Yet, as one chapter closed, another began. At the cusp of spring, Patrick received an unexpected call from his estranged daughter, Gemma, who had recently married and had a child. Longing to mend their relationship and introduce her son to his grandfather, she reached out to Patrick. Overwhelmed with emotion, Patrick eagerly arranged for their visit to his cabin that coming summer. In the weeks leading up to their visit, Patrick thought he spotted a familiar shadow during his patrols. Finally, he saw her clearly, a lynx with a recognizable limp, his Lynx. Although she kept her distance, more cautious than before, the sight filled Patrick with joy. It was a profound reminder of the healing and second chances that life could offer. For the first time in over 15 years, life was looking up for Patrick. That feeling intensified when his daughter and her family arrived for the summer, infusing the forest cabin with the lively energy of the season. Patrick generously offered his own room to his grandson and the spare room to Gemma and her husband, choosing the sofa for himself. Gemma's husband proved to be a kind and gentle soul whose encouragement had been pivotal in rekindling the father-daughter relationship. Patrick felt an immense gratitude towards him. One tranquil evening, as the adults relaxed outside with cool drinks, Gemma went to check on her sleeping son. To her horror, she encountered glowing green eyes and a hiss from the dark. Her screams brought everyone running. Patrick flicked on the light to reveal his Lynx, unexpectedly curled up at the foot of the child's bed. Despite the peaceful scene, panic ensued. Patrick's instincts took over. He shouted and charged, scaring the Lynx out of the window. This incident, however, shattered the calm of the night and stirred up turmoil. Gemma, terrified, insisted they leave the woods immediately. Patrick managed to persuade her to stay, suggesting they secure the cabin better for their safety. Unfortunately, the kitchen door was left ajar one night. Following routine, Gemma entered the bedroom that night only to find the Lynx again at the bed's base. Alarmed and fearing for her child's safety, her screams summoned the men. They rushed in, filled with dread that the Lynx might harm the baby. It was only when Patrick entered the room that a slight movement caught his eye. Spinning around, he discovered something astonishing: a hole in the floorboards, out of which slithered two venomous vipers. In that moment, it became clear that the Lynx had not been a threat to the child, but was instead guarding him from these hidden dangers. This revelation shed light on the Lynx's previous actions. Throughout the spring, as Patrick slept on the sofa and his grandson occupied his bedroom, the Lynx had been vigilantly protecting them from these venomous intruders. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Patrick carefully removed the snakes and, looking towards the Lynx, offered a heartfelt thank you. The Lynx paused, lowered its head slightly as if to acknowledge his gratitude, and then vanished into the night through the open window.